So let me just start off this video by saying this is a big deal. This is something that's, I would say, personally terrifying, okay? It's not really gaming or entertainment related, so I know this is a little bit out of my comfort zone of what I cover, and maybe out of your guys' that, subscribe to me and all that stuff's comfort zone, but I do think this is a really important topic. I do think this is something that we should talk about and, in a way, like, make a big deal about it, because this is infringing upon some, like, pretty interesting territory that some could consider, like, interesting in a good way. I would consider it interesting in a really bad way. So what am I talking about? Well, again, if you guys have seen the title, okay, Microsoft has filed a patent. Now, I'm going to read this from IGN, okay? And I guess really quickly before I do that, if you guys do like this stuff, if you guys want me to talk about stuff that is more like this, I'd love to do more of this kind of stuff. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on. And make sure you guys are following me on Twitter. PodcastNow15 is my Twitter handle. It's actually where I saw this tweet by IGN. I actually replied. It did really well. I got a lot of hearts. I got a lot of likes. I think a lot of people agreed, so it's good to see. Okay, so I'll leave all that stuff in the description below, and let's get into it. So Microsoft has filed a patent that would allow the company to digitally revive deceased loved ones as chatbots using the individual's personal information. The Independent reports that the tech giant has raised the possibility of creating AI-based chatbot that would be built upon the profile of a person, which includes their image, voice data, social media posts, electronic messages, among other types of personal information. It's understood that the chatbot would then be able to simulate human conversation through voice commands and/or text chats. However, Microsoft has taken the concept a step further by suggesting that a 2D or even a 3D model of a specific person could be potentially created using images and depth information or video data of an individual in order to build a chatbot that has the same characteristics and behaviors based on the digital output of the specific person. The specific person who the chatbot represents may correspond to a past or present entity or a version thereof, such as a friend, a relative, an acquaintance, a celebrity, a fictional character, a historical figure, a random entity, etc. The patent explains. The specific person may also correspond to oneself, e.g. the user training the chatbot. So, I mean, look, okay, that technology is incredible. When we get there, and trust me, we will get there. This isn't even a thing of, like, the whole video, the whole idea of this is, like, please don't. This is an awful idea. But, like, we all know, right? I mean, there's no kidding around. We're gonna get there. They're gonna make it. We're going towards that kind of future, right? I mean, that's just, it's pretty obvious. There's a lot of other things I think are pretty obvious that'll happen in the future that we won't get into. But again, we could get into it if you guys super like this video. It's just, I mean, look, and this is gonna get religious in a way, but not in a weird way, because it doesn't even matter if you believe. I'm not even gonna say what I believe in, okay? It may actually surprise people. I'm not even, if you believe in God or you don't believe in God, whatever. It honestly doesn't even matter. The thing with this is they are playing God. Microsoft is literally playing God and saying what we're gonna do is actually, and you know what? The first time I read this, I didn't even think about this part. They are. Do you know how much they're taking from a person in order to do this? So in order to make a robot, an AI, this realistic, like they said, they're going to be using text messages, personal information, social media posts, all that stuff. Isn't that like an infringement on our rights? So you're going to take, and now is this like a voluntary? Like, can you volunteer to do this? Or is this just a thing that when you die, you just submit all of, I mean, it's just a requirement. You need to submit your documents to Microsoft so they can do this to you. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even think about that the first time, but the way they describe how they're going to even do this, they're literally going to need your entire, and that, you know what I mean? Actually, oh my dear God, that's even worse than I thought. So you need to give up your life. You need to say, here's my entire life. You need to know the ins and outs of me as a person, because if you don't know the ins and outs, if I don't give you my phone and say, open up everything, see my deepest, darkest secrets, if you don't see those things, how can you possibly replicate that person? So that's the first thing. That is an enormous, and I'm a big, rights guy, okay? That's an enormous, infringement on your rights. They have no right. Now, I guess you're signing over certain things when you, go to certain user agreements and stuff like that. Gotta be careful, I would say, going forward now. Even it was probably, something you should probably look at or at least be, aware of even in the past. But I would say in the future, especially if this thing kind of gets off the ground, I'd be very careful when you're reading those user agreements. Maybe actually read them. I know I don't. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't. But let me tell you, if they're going to be stealing our information to then make, robots of us when we're dead, then I think that's something we should probably be aware of when we're alive, okay? So that's the first part. That is an enormous, I mean, the rights that they're stealing from us is disgusting. The other thing that's disgusting is the idea of this. I mean, look, We've seen this in movies. We've seen this in TV shows. We've seen this in games. This is a thing, again, it's common. It's something that I think will end up happening because it makes sense in a way. It seems pretty darn possible that it can eventually happen, right? And people have already, done like versions of it in terms of like media. People have already like simulated what it would look like in a movie, let's say, or a TV show, okay? So like it's obviously going to happen. It's just, again, the worst possible idea. Okay, again, like it doesn't matter what you think. I mean, if you think that when you die, you die. If you think when you die, you go to heaven. If you think when you die, you become a ghost or you get reincarnated, whatever, literally whatever your belief is, they're saying, well, yeah, you can do that, but we're also literally going to bring you back our own way, and you're going to be able to talk to people. Also, I saw this in the IGN Twitter post, that's like a very mentally, unstable thing for the person talking. And by the way they described it, so I was thinking as I was reading it, all right, maybe, because I was thinking, do you have to like sign your rights and say, okay, I only want this person to be able to do this or talk to me? You know what I mean? So like if you die and you say, okay, I want these 10 relatives, they're the only ones that this robot, this AI is allowed to communicate with. But they literally said like celebrities, past figures. So like, can I talk to Abraham Lincoln? Like what, like, you know what I mean? Like what in God's name are they doing? So it doesn't even sound, because if I can talk to, pick a celebrity, Chris Evans, Captain America. I want to talk to Chris Evans, okay? When he's dead. So does he have to say, I want everybody in the world to be able to talk to me? Can he opt out? Can he say, well, I'm a celebrity, but I'm actually a person. I have a family. I only want the family to talk to me. I don't want the fans to. Like, do you have to say that, or does Microsoft decide that no, you're a public figure, or even me? Say, I mean, you don't know. Say I hit like 500,000 subs, okay? People maybe want to talk to me. Like, do I have to say, yeah, I want the fans to be able to talk to me, or I want the community to be able to talk to me, or I want like a specific person? Like, how does it work? But either way, again, the mentally unstable thing, look, death is a part, this is getting actually kind of real. Death is literally a part of life. That's what happens. Everybody goes at some point, and it's the worst, and again, actually, it depends on how you view things. To some people, it's actually not the worst. And everybody has their own way of coping and getting through it, but at the same time, like anything, truly like anything, life always moves on. No matter what happens, you have to obviously have some sort of willpower in you, but you move forward. No, the worst thing in the world could happen. You can't just sit on it for the rest of your life. I mean, you can. It's probably not a good idea, and people probably, people do, but not everybody does. People move on, okay? And so that's the same kind of thing with death, with a thing like this. You have to move on. If this becomes real and this becomes a norm, there's no moving on. You lose a relative, well, it's okay. You can still talk to them, but you're not actually talking to them. You're talking to a version that Microsoft thinks that they are. And again, how does Microsoft even know that? What are they using? And how much of the rights they're doing? And then again, like, you can only push it so far until I mean, just literally think about movies. I mean, I'm thinking like, okay, where does this go from here? Because, this is never the end. This patent is literally kind of like the beginning of something. So you think about it and you think, well, this is a terrible idea, but you have to know they're going to go even further. So first they say about the chatting, it's only going to be like messages, or maybe be your voice. But then they bring in 2D, which so you can see them, or 3D, like a freaking hologram in your room of your dead aunt or something that's talking to you, okay? Like, think about where that goes. And then think about, okay, well, when they get maxed out of what they can actually do, will some people be angry? Well, the next thing that they want is, no, I literally want this person to be like back alive. Like, I want them to be able to interact with like real things. And again, like they're actually going to have to be very, very smart, because if I talk about something like now, they're going to have to connect it to things they've thought about or done in the past and how their relationship with me. And again, there's only so much you can gather from like personal information. Like, you don't know, like you and your grandmother, let's say, how does Microsoft, like, does your grandmother text you nonstop? Does she do social media posts? Like, how does Microsoft know how she acts? Okay, what's the next step? Well, they're literally gonna I don't even know. You take her brain and you figure out literally what she's done throughout her entire life. I don't know, but it's awful. It's terrifying, because like they have zero right to do something like that. Now again, I don't even care. Like, oh, Alex, you can opt in, opt out. This shouldn't be a thing. This absolutely shouldn't be a thing. This is going down a dark road. This is going down them playing some sort of god or like higher being entity. That's literally what they're doing. They are trying to be a god. They're saying, no, we can bring them back for you. Well, I mean, that's literally what they're saying. Is like, no, they're dead. Oh, they're not actually dead. We'll bring them back in terms of an AI. That's just, I mean, do you guys want your mind to go into a robot's body next? Is that the next thing? So there's I don't know. This is very different. This is very different from videos that I normally make, but this is just something I think we all need to be aware of, that it sounds crazy. Maybe some people say, oh, that's too crazy, it'll never happen. I mean, they learn. Now, patents don't mean you're going to, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to do it, but it means you're thinking about it. It means you have plans in place. It means that you have a belief that you can do something with it, and a lot of patents do end up being real. So, and again, just think about the world, think about where technology is going, think about what you've seen in movies and TV shows and games. This is like a well thought of concept. Like, this is absolutely going to happen. We need to, I would say at some point we need to stop, though. We need to literally do something that tells them, don't do it. Don't play God, because that's going down a very dark road. Very, very dark road. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Did you like this kind of video? What do you think about the topic? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed. Bell icon turned on. Again, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's where I found this article. I try to, tweet these kind of things out. So make sure you guys are following me over there. Podcast Now 15. The link for it is in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.